Hello, hi, welcome to this stream. If you're new here, hi, I'm FEARSONA, you can call me Sona, and I'm your friendly neighborhood true crime VTuber, here to give you full body chills. And guys, let's start it off by sharing some breaking news, because I always have some very positive news to share with you, as you know, or maybe you don't know. If you're new here, then you're probably confused, you don't know, but my news is always positive. So apparently, the saga of mysterious drones over the East Coast, West Coast, really everywhere, continues, and this time, apparently there was like some leak, some intel leak, and they revealed, well, internet also revealed, I don't know how true that is, but they revealed that those drones belong to the US military, and they are meant to track or detect possible weapons of mass destruction. Yes, I'm talking about nuclear warheads hidden somewhere on the East Coast, on the West Coast, Central US, really everywhere. So kaboom, this might be our last stream, and I mean, I hope not, but if it is, then well, we had a good run, and I really love you guys, and I appreciate you guys, but I don't know how that's gonna end. Another positive news, Apple Intel, so their AI, I don't know, like news, whatever, like system, apparently sent a notification to millions of devices saying this: Luigi Mangione shoots himself. Very positive news. I think Apple Intel has intel into the future, and well, safe to say people were confused. They were just like, wait, what? Did he not? No, he didn't. He's very much alive in custody, but I guess Apple knows something that we don't know, or, you know, yeah, the BBC wasn't really happy. No one was happy about this, and yeah, apparently, like, people got this notification and they were just like, what the fuck? This is, by the way, not the first time that they did this. Well, AI or Apple Intelligence did this. They also sent a notification that said that, like, Israeli President Netanyahu was arrested, and he was not. So, yeah, that was very confusing. I never got that. Oh, see, like, you're one of the lucky ones. Okay, but this is that's some shocking news there. Let me just share some other positive news. On a more positive note, do you guys know who this is? Do you guys know who this might be? Let me tell you who this is. This is Celine Dion, at the age of 12, sitting next to her future husband, who is here in this picture, 38. They apparently met in 1980. When she was 12, he was 38. And according to Celine, well, he was very gentlemanly, and he waited like a good person would for her to turn, well, according to Celine, between 15 and 18 years old. So a pretty wide stretch there, a pretty big stretch of age. And yes, she said, my husband Rene didn't groom me. Yes, he was 38 years old and I was 12 when we first met and fell in love. But he was patient enough to wait till I was about 15 to 18 years old. How very nice of him. I know. What the fuck? Also, this is them. Sure he did. Sure he waited till you were 15, 18. Well, if he waited till you were 15, that's not much of a difference from 12, so, and he was 38, yes. He was very much 38. So yeah, some positive news as always at the beginning of my stream. Hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, you're locked inside the stream right now, so you cannot leave right now. I mean, if you can, honestly, today's case is gonna be tough, so I'm gonna grant you the exit, the permission to exit if it gets too hard, because today's case is pretty hard. He could be her grandfather. Oh yeah, he totally could be her grandfather. I mean, he kind of looks like, and I mean, in this picture, he definitely looks like her grandfather. Oh, that's something. That is something. I'm sure I can handle it. Well, I hope so, but you know, I wouldn't blame you guys if you couldn't, because today's case is really a tough one. Also, Kronos, thank you so much for being a member for 21 months. 21 beautiful, long months. I don't know why I said it that way, but, 21 long months. Thank you so much for all the support. Where did the time go? I know, it's been so long. Thank you so much, Kronos, for being a mod for so long and supporting me here on YouTube and on Discord and everywhere. I appreciate it a lot. Azure Void, hello, hi, welcome. Brian, hello, welcome to the stream. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, because I may or may not ruin it for you with this case. So yesterday we did have another tough case on Patreon, and yeah, not gonna lie, I'm gonna need a break because it was tough. It was a pretty difficult case to talk about, and yeah, I had a moment there. And I realized, like, okay, after today's stream, I'm gonna need like that break. Maybe, I don't know if I'm gonna do true crime next week, because this is the last stream of the week, and in like the next week, the upcoming week, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a true crime case. I might do something else. I might do like cryptid files or something also interesting, also spooky, but maybe not as graphic, because yeah, like I wasn't there, but I believe you. Yeah, like it was, you can, my Patreon members who are there can tell you all about it, but yeah, I had to pause for a moment because it was pretty tough. It was a case that started on Reddit. It was a case of this guy Jason, who posted in the relationship advice subreddit, talking about how, he discovered that his wife was cheating on him, and he went through a lot of, emotional heartbreak, or yeah, like emotional stuff and heartache and heartbreak with his wife. And when he finally decided to follow Reddit's advice and divorce the wife, unfortunately things did not turn out as he expected. Things took an unexpected turn, a very sad, shocking turn, and I'm not gonna reveal what it was, but yeah, I'm gonna end it with saying that it ended in double murder. So, well, it was yeah, it was a pretty tough case, and I also played a 911 call that I didn't hear. I just read the transcript of, and I haven't heard it. Up until that point, I hadn't heard that 911 call, and yeah, I think I was as shocked as everyone else. Okay. Guys, was it a really rough case? Yeah, it was. It definitely was. I mean, yeah, like if Patreon members might agree, maybe some of you might not agree. I don't know. Like maybe some of you are just have tough skin. I couldn't. Okay. I missed it. Gonna have to watch the VOD. No worries. The VOD is there. It's always gonna be there, so you guys can go back to Patreon, just watch archive, watch the cases, like the additional cases. And yeah, if you're interested, I do have weekly streams on Patreon. There are usually cases, but also other streams, so you can, and other bonuses, so you can check it out if you would like to support me there. Okay, time to dive right into it. So today we are taking a closer look at a case that shook Anchorage, Alaska, and ultimately unraveled the terrifying secrets of a serial killer who hid in plain sight and ultimately terrified even the FBI. It all starts with 18-year-old Samantha Koenig. She lived what many would call a very typical, peaceful life. In 2012, Samantha worked at a coffee stand called Common Grounds in Anchorage, and a city known for its rugged beauty and tight-knit community. Though this city in Alaska is like Alaska's largest, its vast, sparsely populated stretches make it an ideal landscape for someone with sinister intentions to operate undetected. It was very easy. It was here that Samantha's paths, crossed with a man whose name would later become synonymous with cold, calculated violence. And it was February 1st, 2012. And Samantha was working the evening shift at the coffee stand, which would normally require her to close up the shop at 8 p.m. Earlier that day, Samantha's boyfriend let her know that he can pick her up after her shift is done, but as it got closer to 8 p.m., he ended up running late due to his own work. So he sent a message. So Dwayne sent a message that he was gonna be late, a little late, and to just wait for him at the shop, right, for Samantha, like to Samantha. So he was asking, okay, you know, Sam, just wait for me at the shop. I'm gonna be a little late, but I'm gonna come pick you up. However, when Dwayne finally made it to the shop, he found it dark and empty with no sign of Samantha. Well, that's weird, but you know what? It's probably fine. Earlier that night, the two had an argument through text messages, so Dwayne initially thought that, okay, Samantha might have left with her father or a friend, maybe she was still upset with me, and she decided like, okay, well, you're late, so I'm not gonna wait for you. You pissed me off earlier today, which means like, oh, I'm just gonna call my dad or call my friend. So he didn't really suspect anything, right? Like he just thought, okay, everything is probably fine, but just in case, you know what? I'm gonna drive over to her house to check in on her. I just want to clear things up. I just want to talk to her face to face, apologize for earlier today, and apologize for being late. And let's not go to bed, you know, angry with each other. It's probably nothing, but you know, doesn't hurt for him to check on her and talk to her, apologize. But when Dwayne arrived at Sam's home, Samantha's father, James, was actually surprised to see Dwayne alone. And he said that, no, Samantha was not there, like she hadn't returned home yet. At this point, both men began frantically calling and texting Samantha, but their messages went unanswered. By next morning, with no sign of Samantha, because they were looking for hours, they were just like, okay, let's drive around the coffee stand, let's check any public places that she usually goes to, like, where is she? You know, maybe she's still at the coffee shop, maybe she just like stepped outside for a little while and just, you know, like locked it up, you know, just to step outside, maybe before her shift ended or after her shift ended, and while she was waiting for Dwayne, maybe she just stepped outside and she was going to come back and he just arrived at the time and she was just outside, and then maybe she's still there. But they drove over, she wasn't there. So by the next morning, with no sign of her, James decided to file a missing persons report with the Anchorage Police Department. Investigators quickly realized that this was more than just a case of a teenager running away, because honestly, like, James was kind of thinking like, hey, maybe, I don't know, maybe she was really upset with her boyfriend. Maybe she decided, okay, I'm not gonna tell anyone. I'm just gonna stay over at a friend's house and, you know, at a friend's place and talk to them in a few days. Maybe she kind of like quote unquote ran away and because she was upset. But no, like, they called her friends, they called everyone they could, and she was nowhere to be found. So the police began investigating Samantha's disappearance and the apparent robbery at the coffee stand, because they discovered a CCTV footage that showed that someone did rob the store. Well, I mean, okay, I'm gonna explain it, but what they uncovered would lead to one of the most chilling revelations in recent memory. When police arrived at the coffee shop, they immediately found the scene strange. There were no signs of struggle, right? So that's why at first glance they were just like, oh, that's so strange. Like, there's nothing really amiss. Like, the coffee shop is fine. The register is full. Like, there was nothing stolen. So, like, what is going on? Like, it looks completely fine. Plus, there was a panic button inside of the store, you know, like just the type of button that you press if something's happening, right? If there's a robbery and it calls for the emergency services for police. But the panic button installed inside the shop had also not been pressed that night. However, the shop was left in a state that suggested Samantha didn't clean it up at the end of her shift before closing up. It was basically as if she just randomly walked out, leaving everything behind as is, like even dirty dishes, you know, some dirty cups. Nothing was cleaned up. So the officers at the scene were just like, oh, this is very strange. Like that really looks like she just walked right out, like left everything, which was a bad sign. The answer would lie in this chilling surveillance footage from the coffee stand. So I'm gonna play this footage. It doesn't actually have any audio, so I'm gonna try to, you know, play it and talk about it. So this is the video. And this video showed Samantha performing her usual closing duties at around 8 p.m. But what happened next was obscured from the camera's view. At one point, someone approaches the window of the coffee stand, and this figure, away from the camera's view, ordered a drink. And after Samantha, like, you know, Samantha is seen making that drink, like she's preparing, everything's fine, right? Like nothing is really suspicious. It seems like he's just a client. But then when she goes over, I'm gonna skip a little bit. So when she goes over to hand over the drink, the robber, this person suddenly, like she suddenly steps away. Wait, let me actually like skip it to that part. I think this is gonna be the part. So when she handed it over, the footage shows how she suddenly like steps back. I think it's gonna be now. Wait, let me see. Is it? Yeah, so she hands it over. Yeah, now she steps back. She raised her hands, which, you know, it's indicating that maybe he had a gun and he was pointing it at her. And then he likely instructed her to switch off all the lights in the shop. And you can see that Samantha goes around. She switches the lights off all around. And then after this, she comes back to the window. So she walks back to the window, and he likely instructs her to then kneel on the ground. Let me see, because she's standing. Like, you can still see it, even though it's dark, and the camera is obviously, again, the camera is, as usual, a toaster. So we can't really see much. Like, it's very grainy, it's very, like, distorted. But you can see a little bit, like, at least her outline, right? Like, you can see her outline right here. So she then is instructed to kneel on the ground. Let me just skip to that part. She's talking. She has to kneel, and also I think he also basically passes something to her, like he ties her up, or like she has to tie herself up. Okay, so she kneels. And then it's very vague. Like, I'm not 100% sure what happens here, but she is kneeling. He is instructing her. He's telling her what to do. Then he hands her something. Oh, I think he ties her up. So he ties her up here, right? Like, this is the guy, and he ties her hands, most likely. And then he instructs her to exit the shop. So I'm gonna skip to that part where she kind of exits the shop, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, so I'm not sure if this is, I think here Samantha is here, and then here he's like here or something. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think that's him. Yeah, that's him. Oh, that's totally him. Never mind. I thought he didn't show up in the footage, but he does show up in the footage. Never mind. Because I saw other clips. But yeah, this is him. He actually enters the shop. Obviously ties her up even more, and then he takes her with him, and they just exit together. Let me see. Yeah, they just go. And you can see in the corner here, they exit the shop. This is literally the last glimpse of her. Oh, here. You can see like the last bit of her. That's the last time she's seen in this footage. Okay, so the only time the figure is within the camera's view, as you saw, unfortunately doesn't reveal his face. Like, it's just a dark figure. It's just very hard to, it's very hard to see the robber in the footage. Yeah, it doesn't, like, you can't really see it. Like, you can't really see him. We can see a dark figure, and police, analyzing this footage concluded that he was wearing a big sweatshirt, because, like, you can kind of see it. Maybe a hoodie or a hat. The lack of audio and the limited scope of the footage heightened the mystery surrounding her sudden disappearance, because it doesn't really tell us much. Had there been audio, maybe it would have been, like, at least it would have helped the police with his voice if the camera captured his voice, but it doesn't. So we don't know what it said. We don't know what he said to her or how he sounded. So, Sunny Rainy Day, thank you so much for the super. He shows up as the dark blob in my room. That's actually my coat. Jesus. Well, no, this one was a dark figure, but, he was very much a real person. So Samantha's father rallied the support of nearly 300,000 people in the city to search for his daughter. The case gained national attention, prompting strangers from all over the country to donate thousands of dollars to fund a reward for information about Samantha's whereabouts. The FBI also got involved soon after in the investigation, since the case immediately captured their attention as very, very strange. Weeks go by without any new clues and breakthroughs in Samantha's case. She's still missing, and her family, as well as her boyfriend, are slowly losing hope. Then, on February 24th, which is 3 weeks after Samantha's disappearance, Dwayne, so Samantha's boyfriend, receives a text message from Samantha's phone. Like, what the heck? So it's very clear that this text message was not sent by Samantha herself. It says Connor Park sign under pic of Albert ain't she party. What? But that's exactly what he received. This is the message, and it contained directions to some sign in a nearby public park. When Dwayne followed the directions and arrived at the location, he actually discovered a Ziploc bag attached to the sign containing a typed ransom note and proof of life. So the proof of life was this photo of Samantha looking kind of dazed, with someone off camera holding a copy of the Anchorage Daily newspaper dated February 13th, 2012. So it was a terrifying photo. It was terrifying, but at least now the family, her boyfriend, they knew that Samantha is alive, and the kidnapper simply wants money, right? So, okay, well, there's hope. The ransom note actually demanded that James deposit $30,000 into Samantha's account immediately. And that is the only way to get Samantha back, unharmed. And the kidnapper stated that he would release Samantha after 6 months. She has that 1,000 yards there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the kidnapper says, like, okay, listen, as long as I get those $30,000 in her account and I can, take them out, I can withdraw them, I'm gonna release her after 6 months. Like, she's gonna be fine. And why her account? Because he had her debit card, he had her account, right? Like, he doesn't want the ransom money to be sent to his account, because that's gonna identify him, right? But it just makes sense, right? Like, oh, send it to Samantha's account. That way, I'm not gonna be identified. It's just gonna be her account, and I have her debit cards, because she, he brought her debit cards. He took her bag or something. So yes, the kidnapper said, hey, as long as I get the money, everything is good. She's gonna be unharmed, and I'm gonna release her after 6 months. So I guess that's 6 months. That's a good question. Why 6 months? From what I could understand was that he wanted to withdraw the money in like certain intervals. So not everything at once, because also her debit card had a like a limit for like withdrawals. So he can't really withdraw everything at once. And also he didn't want to send the money to what the police understood was that he wouldn't send the money to, right, like transfer. It's very unlikely that he would have sent the money from her account to his account, because that would also identify her, since now they are tracking her account's activity. Instead, he was going to withdraw it through ATMs, and you know, there's a limit on it, so he can't really withdraw 30K at the same time. Yeah, there's probably a $6,000 limit daily, something like that. So he wanted to kind of spread it, and just as a, you know, as an insurance, he would just keep Samantha for those 6 months and then release her after he had gotten all the money, you know, in cash. The FBI advised James, Samantha's father, to deposit a portion of the money first, just kind of as a giving this like excuse of like, okay, well, I don't have $30,000 at hand right now, so you know, I'm gonna try to like deposit like part of the money and then deposit the rest, right? The FBI said like, hey, this is in order to wait and see if there's going to be any activity on the account, like right after the deposit is made, so they can maybe pinpoint the kidnapper's location and therefore Samantha's. And it did pay off, because over the next several days, 3 separate withdrawals were made from ATMs in Anchorage. And each time the FBI rushed to the, you know, like the police, FBI rushed to the scene, but the person making the withdrawals was long gone. They couldn't catch him. And upon checking the CCTV cameras or the cameras from the ATM, they didn't really get much. It was, again, like a man wearing a ski mask and big sunglasses, this hoodie, which obstructed his face completely, so they couldn't really tell. And the footage, as fucking always, was shot on a fucking toaster, so it's grainy and you can't really tell. You can't even see much of his features. You can't really tell. Like, yeah, you can tell that he's wearing sunglasses or some kind of glasses, some kind of mask, some kind of hoodie, but you can't really tell anything from this photo because, as usual, grainy ass cameras, of course. Yeah, like always in any cases. They should really upgrade this, but yes, 2024 and we still have toaster cameras and CCTV cameras everywhere. Great. Okay, so this obstructed his face completely, so they couldn't really identify him, but at least they knew that the kidnapper and Samantha were still in Anchorage, right? Like, so they are still in the same city because he's withdrawing money from the same city. That would unfortunately change 2 weeks later, because on March 7th, another 3 withdrawals were made from Samantha's account, but this time they were made in Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. The kidnapper was on the run, traveling east along Interstate 10, and most likely with Samantha in tow. As, again, insurance, this is what the FBI assumed. Like, hey, he is on the run, he doesn't want to be caught, so he's moving from state to state, and he probably took Samantha with him as an insurance. The FBI tracked the locations and tipped the local authorities, and they finally got a clue they were waiting for. An ATM camera in Arizona actually captured the suspect's vehicle and its license plate, which was a white Ford Focus. On March 13th, a state trooper in the town of Shepherd, Texas, he actually spotted the car and with the license plates in a hotel parking lot. He decided to follow the driver because he couldn't really, like, you know, for no reason arrest him yet, because he wasn't sure if this is the guy. You know, he couldn't really approach him like just out of the blue, or didn't want to spook the guy. So this state trooper decided to be very, very careful, and he decided to follow the driver and wait for him to make a mistake, you know, even a minor traffic violation, anything that would give him a legitimate reason to pull the guy over. Yeah, it is a rental. It was a rental. Like, yeah, it came out later that it was a rental. So they couldn't really, you know, they didn't really, like, even if they knew the license plate, like when they actually checked it, it turns out that it was a rental car. So yes, this guy the trooper followed him, and this guy finally did exceed the speed limit. So the officer immediately pulled the driver over and searched his car. Upon doing so, the officer discovered Samantha Koenig's ATM card, her cell phone, a gun, and the ski mask worn by the suspect at all ATMs where Samantha's car was used. And that day, 34-year-old Israel Keys was arrested. Keys initially denied any involvement in Samantha's disappearance, but that didn't really last long because the FBI presented him with a mountain of evidence suggesting otherwise. He initially confessed, but no one was prepared. Well, he finally confessed, okay. So initially he didn't confess, right? Like initially he said like, oh, I have nothing to do with this. Sorry, I misspoke. But yes, he said, oh, I have nothing to do with this. I didn't kidnap her. I don't know who this person is. And I don't know, like he just gave some like excuses for the card, that he found it, for the ski mask, that's something, I don't know, like, oh, it's not the same or something like that. Like he was just giving a lot of excuses at first. But then he finally confessed, and no one was prepared for that confession. At the time, Israel Keys lived in Anchorage with his girlfriend Kimberly and his 10-year-old daughter. Yes, he had a daughter, 10 years old, and everything happened in and behind his house. So yeah, that is horrible. He actually had carefully scoped out Samantha's place of work, so the coffee stand. Yeah, because you guys, this is a case actually suggested by you guys, several of you. Yeah, like I got this suggested so many times in the comments, and I finally, because I wrote it down on my list, and I finally got around to it. So this was a case suggested by you guys. So yes, he had a 10-year-old daughter, and he was for days like he was carefully scoping out Samantha's place of work before finally making his move. And on that cold February evening, on February 1st, he approached the coffee stand just as Samantha was closing for the night. Posing as a customer, he ordered a drink. He ordered an Americano. And then when the drink was ready, when Samantha was going to hand it over to him, he pulled out a gun, threatened Samantha, tied her hands up, right? Like that was in the footage. Like the moment when he reaches over the window, because this coffee stand was kind of like a drive-through. So he, when she reached over the window and she was handing over the drink, he pulled out a gun. And then in the footage we see that she kind of like leans over the window, or he leans in. That's when he was like tying her hands up. And then he also, like, this was another detail in this case. Figured he scoped out the place. Oh yeah, he did. Heck yeah, we chose this. Yeah, you guys did choose the case, which thanks, traumatizing, literally traumatizing. I may actually remember this case and what happened to her, and let me tell you, it was awful. So let me get back. So he ties her hands up. And then this is an unknown. This was not known to the authorities up until this point, but he apparently gagged Samantha with napkins to prevent her from making any sound, because he wasn't sure if the cameras inside the shop and outside the shop were recording sounds. So he just gagged her. And obviously, like, he didn't want her to make any sounds to call for help or anything like that. So he just, used napkins. I think it's paper napkins. I'm not sure, because like I'm not sure she had like in that coffee stand, she didn't have like fabric napkins. I would assume those were paper. And then he forced her into his truck, right? Like he dragged her out of the shop. He forced her into his truck, claiming that he only wanted ransom money from her family and nothing else. Like, she's gonna be fine. He told the police, like, oh, I told her that she's gonna be fine. I just want the ransom money. Supposedly, that was his initial plan, to demand ransom from Samantha's family in exchange for her safe return. And that's why he sent that message to Samantha's phone, right? Like not Samantha's phone, from Samantha's phone to her boyfriend. And as Keys detailed how he kept Samantha cooperative. It revealed what a terrifying, twisted person he really was. He basically used the ransom story to keep her calm and compliant. And I'm not sure why this part is so disturbing. But during one of his interviews with the FBI, Israel would praise Samantha for how composed she was throughout the whole situation. Like, he was saying, like, oh, she was so calm, she was so like compliant and so collected. And I'm not sure why it gives me chills, but it was just like very disturbing thing to hear from this guy. How did his family never find her? So she was in the shed behind the house and just no one really went there. Like, he was the only one going to that shed behind the property. And, you know, like, oh, his girlfriend didn't really go there, or like his daughter didn't really have a reason to go there. So, you know, like, it was just like this perfect, and also it was a perfect setup, and I'm gonna explain why. So Keys took Samantha to his home and kept her in that shed behind his house, where she remained tied up for a few hours. And at one point, when Keys came over to the shed, because mind you, his daughter was with him at the time and she had no idea what was going on in the shed. Like, she was just asleep or something. Like, it was, because this happened at night. This is like February 1st to February 2nd, right? Like morning February 2nd. This is still the same night. And, you know, the daughter is asleep, everyone is asleep, and he's in that shed, like, doing something, right? But no one really cares. Like, maybe he was there often, you know, they didn't really suspect anything. So he comes over to the shed while his daughter is asleep. Samantha, like, still trying to stay calm, actually asks him if hey, like, did you manage to contact my father about the ransom? And to which Keys replied that yes, he got in touch with him and with the father, and everything will be soon over. Unfortunately, not in a way that Samantha expected. Then Keys, this is the detail that he shared with the police. He actually said that he untied Samantha's hands. He let her get more comfortable. Like, she kind of like, oh, so she actually thought that this was real. You know, like, oh, he's untying me. Like, this is about money. Like, as long as I stay here, stay calm, like, I don't scream, I don't make a ruckus, or, you know, like, I don't cause anything, like any incident, it's gonna be fine, right? Like, oh, he's gonna let me go the moment that he gets the money, right? Unfortunately, none of it was true. He's actually never contacted Samantha's father Sam's father, James, on the night when Samantha went missing, was abducted. He lied to her to keep her calm, to keep her like cooperative. And the gruesome details of what followed are almost too horrific to recount. Keys suddenly launched at Samantha and tied her up again. Like, he attacked her, he tied her up again, even tighter this time. And during the interview with the FBI, he also noted that this was the moment that Samantha asked him, "Are you going to kill me?" And he replied, yes. Yes, I will. Then he described to the FBI how the look on her face changed instantly. It was the look of defeat. He told the police that at that moment, she gave up because she knew what was going to happen to her. So Keys then sexually assaulted her and murdered Samantha by stabbing her in the back and choking her to death. This is mind you, this is the night of February 1st to 2nd. And the next part is probably the worst, because Samantha's body was left in that shed while Israel Keys, together with his daughter and girlfriend, went on a pre-planned Caribbean cruise and a trip to New Orleans for 2 weeks. So this is the morning of February 2nd, like 5 a.m. They leave for the airport. They went on a cruise where they went to New Orleans, and they were gone for 2 weeks. do you remember the date on the newspaper from the ransom photo, from the proof of life photo? February 13th, 2012, which is 2 weeks after Samantha's disappearance. That's actually when Keyes returned from his trip, returned to the shed, unwrapped Samantha's body, and decided to stage a chilling ransom photo designed to convince Samantha's family that she was still alive. Yeah. She's dead in this photo. And the details of how he set it up just are truly gruesome. Yeah. That is, she's not alive in this photo. So he used a fishing line to basically sew Samantha's eyelids open to create the illusion of life, that she's alive. He put a lot of makeup on her and positioned her body with a newspaper to make the photo appear current, right? Because she's sitting up and there's a newspaper that is dated February 13th, 2012. But this was a staged photo. And this photo was then sent to her family, to her boyfriend, with a demand for ransom. And it was just a cruel manipulation. Yeah, he used her body as a puppet. And he actually, this is another detail from one of his interviews with the FBI, but he actually said this, I don't know, that's really disturbing, but he actually told the FBI, like, oh, when I came back from the trip and I, unwrapped her, because he wrapped her in, like, I don't even know, like carpet or something. When he unwrapped her, like, oh, she was still, she still seemed fresh. She still looked fresh. Which is probably because of the cold temperatures, or, like in February in Alaska, but that preserved her body somehow. And she was in the shed, so that wasn't like, the shed wasn't really like insulated or anything. Like, it wasn't really warm in that shed, but yeah, he actually told the police that, hey, she still looked alive. She still looked fresh. So yeah, I decided to stage the photo. So yes, hoping to save their daughter, Samantha's family complied with the ransom note. They sent the requested money into an account linked to her debit card, a card that Keyes had taken, and he was using it to withdraw the money. Samantha's remains wouldn't be found until April 2nd, several days after Keyes confessed to the crime. He dismembered her body and disposed of it in Matanuska Lake. I think that's how it's pronounced. I apologize if it's not. Which is north of Anchorage. And those remains had to be recovered over several days by the FBI's underwater search and evidence response team. And here's the thing. Samantha was not Israel Keyes' first victim. In custody, he confessed to numerous killings, but he kept all the other information a secret. Like, he withheld critical details. He was basically toying with the investigators and leaving families of his victims in agony. He also confessed to having murder kits. Oh yeah, because he was a serial killer. Samantha was just his last... Well, I mean, I want to say his last victim, but there's gonna be a plot twist. Another plot twist. So Keyes had... This is another messed up part about this guy. He had murder kits, which were sets of tools and weapons buried across the country in different states just all around the country. They were basically like hidden away, buried here and there. He would mark the location on the map, and it was a grim testament to his how methodical his planning was, how completely devoid of any remorse he was. Like, he had those kids everywhere in different states. So here's another photo of FBI agents looking at several recovered murder kits from several different states. Mind you, there's definitely more. This is just like several of them, just a few of them. Who knows how many of them are there? They're like still out there. So the kids were these like murder kits or kill kits were designed to be portable and easily accessible, allowing him to target victims at random. The contents of these sets or these kits were not limited to, but included weapons, so guns or knives, restraints like ropes and handcuffs, disguises such as wigs and hats, and any other tools designed to facilitate the capture of and killing of a person. Not murder kids, murder kits. KITS. Pretty sure this was just another fun hunting trip for this man. Oh yeah, like that's... And he definitely had more victims. Bro's got an entire Agent 47 loadout hidden about. I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think how many of them are still out there somewhere, buried or hidden, and someone probably came across some of them. But here's the thing. So Israel Keys's MO was characterized by being random, so brutal attacks on complete strangers, and he would often target people in public spaces like coffee shops or parks, and then like he would kind of scope out the person's like patterns, and then he would go fetch his nearest kill kit, the nearest kill set, to execute his plans. It was actually confirmed that Israel Keys was responsible for the murder of an old couple from Vermont, 49-year-old William Bill Scott Courier and 55-year-old Lorraine Simone Courier, or I guess Carrier. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. So he murdered them on June 8th, 2011, so a year before Samantha. That night, he broke into their home, tied them up, and drove the two of them to an abandoned farmhouse. There, he started by shooting Bill. For a moment I was just like, oh, my notes say that he stabbed him, but no. So he started by shooting Bill, after which he sexually assaulted and strangled Lorraine, which was very similar to what happened to Sam. And Keys actually had one of his murder kits hidden near the couple's home. It just so happens that it was near their home, and he figured like, well, they are very close, they're just at hand here, so I might as well. And then the same kit, the same set, the murder set, was moved from Vermont to Pennsylvania after this murder. And actually, Bill and Lorraine's bodies were never found, but it was proven that it was him. As for Israel's other victims, because there were definitely more, unfortunately, none of them were 100% confirmed, and Keys wouldn't really confess to any of them, or he would like kind of taunt the investigators, kind of admitting to it, but then taking it back, or just giving out some details, some like kind of details about the case, but then like not saying anything much. So they couldn't really 100% say that, oh, he confessed to this one. The best estimate is that he killed 11 people based on a drawing he made in his cell, which I'm gonna share in a minute. His murder spree likely started in 1998, shortly after he enlisted in the US Army, and his reign of terror spanned states as far apart as Washington, New York, Vermont, and Florida. This guy was a monster. Like, that's the only way to describe him. Absolute monster. He was in the army. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he was in the army. Yeah, like after he graduated or his discharge, that's in 1998, that's when it started. I mean, I think it was like between, but yeah, that's when it started, like 1998. So he thought it was all a game to him. Yeah, like actually some of the files, which is actually pretty interesting, but also kind of terrifying, but part of Israel Keyes files are classified, like the interviews with him, like some of the files are classified. And you know why? Because he shared, apparently he shared some, like, because of his time in the army, he actually shared some like details about the military that the FBI couldn't share, so they couldn't really publish everything. They actually withheld some of it, so I don't actually know what he said to them. But yeah, he shared some of the details of his like missions, or you know, like the deployment, and yeah, so they kind of kept it, that one's classified. Okay, so Israel's other possible victims were, let's start with Julie Harris. She was 12. She was a Special Olympics medalist in skiing. And Julie, she had actually 2 prosthetic feet. She vanished on March 12th, 1996. So, yes, the FBI said, like, oh, his killing spree most likely started from 1998, but they suspect that he might have played a part in Julie's disappearance and murder. So she disappeared in 1996 from Colville, Washington, while waiting for a ride to a local church, and her body was discovered over a year later in 1997, April 1997, only a few miles away in a wooded area. Julie had 2 prosthetic feet, which were then recovered by the Colville River. And as it turns out, Israel Keyes, 18 at the time, used to live in that same area, but never admitted to this murder. So this was a wild coincidence that he was living in Colville at the time when she disappeared. Crazy. His next victim was also 12. Her name was Cassandra Cassie Emerson. I don't actually have her picture. I was trying to find it, but unfortunately I couldn't really find it. She was also from Colville, and she disappeared in June of 1997, so a year after Julie disappeared, and a couple of months after her body was found. Her mother's remains, so this wasn't really just Cassie, it was Cassie and her mother. So her mother's remains were found first inside their trailer home, which was burned to a crisp. But Cassie was nowhere to be found inside of the trailer, like her body was not there. Her remains were discovered in 1998, about 13 miles away from home. Mind you, so Cassie's home was burned in what police suspected was arson, and Israel Keyes admitted that his first act of arson took place in Colville and that it was a trailer. So see, like, he's dropping all those hints. He's a monster. He's a fucking monster. So he's dropping all those hints. He's saying like, oh yeah, by the way, the first time I burned something down, like the first time I committed arson, was actually in Colville, and it was a trailer. And they go back to that case and they're like, oh shit, this is, you know, there were 2 people that died. Well, one died in arson in a fire of a trailer, and then this little girl was like murdered and found, her body found like 13 miles away. And he lived in that area. He lived in Colville. Keyes confessed to having killed 5 victims, a total of 5 victims in Washington state, but he never really revealed their identities. He also admitted to killing 1 person in New York state, and police investigated this potential victim in 2012. The way they were murdered matched Israel's killing pattern, but unfortunately I don't have the name of that victim. I guess police never released their name, or they were unidentified. Then we have a series of crimes in 2007 by the so-called Boca killer, which were 3 murders in the area of Boca Raton, I think, Boca Raton in Florida. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it again. The victims were 52-year-old, starting from 52-year-old Randy Gorenberg, whose body was, with 2 fatal gunshot wounds, was found within an hour of her disappearing from the shopping mall parking lot. Within an hour! Within an hour. And she was shot dead, and the body was found within an hour of her going missing. The second incident actually involved a mother and her toddler son, whose names were not revealed to the public, and it was at the same shopping mall on August 7th, 2007. Oh, sorry, this is the next victim. But yeah, their names, their identities were never revealed, but they actually survived. Those were not murder victims. They were actually attacked. So they were released unharmed from after the incident, but the assailant attacked them, and then he threatened the mother and forced her to withdraw money from an ATM. And the woman described the attacker as tall, athletic, and having longish hair, which did match Israel Keyes' description at the time. Like, he did have like a little bit longer hair after his discharge from the army. So the last victim, well, 2 victims of the Boca killer was Nancy Bocciccio. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, but yes, Nancy N, who was 47 at the time, and her 7-year-old daughter Joey. Both of them were found shot dead in the same shopping mall parking lot. The same shopping mall parking lot. This is the same shopping mall, and they were found shot dead on December 12th. 2007. I'm sorry, I just need to take a moment, because how can he be oh my god, how can he be a monster like that? Okay. So another possible victim of Israel Keyes was 48-year-old Deborah Feldman, who disappeared from her apartment in New Jersey. Her body has never been found, but authorities believe that Keyes may have had something to do with her death, since he had searched for her missing persons case very frequently on his computer. When they finally caught him, when they actually investigated his electronic devices and everything, like after Samantha's death, he searched for her, this missing persons case very, very frequently, possibly to check if the police found her remains, possibly to check if they had, they were tracking him, if they had a breakthrough in the case. So her body was never actually found. And then the last victim, right after, this is the plot twist, right after Samantha Koenig, could have been 58-year-old James Jimmy Lamar Tidwell Jr., an electrician from Mount Enterprise, Texas. He vanished on February 15th, 2012. So coincidentally, kind of, when Keyes was traveling after killing Samantha, because he was right, like, I remember, like, after abducting Samantha and killing Samantha on February 2nd, he went on a trip, right? Like, he went on a trip for 2 weeks, and he was back. Later, he was back from the trip, but then he went, well, I mean, we don't know, because the ransom note was found on February 24th, right? Like, the message was sent 24th. The ransom note showed a newspaper that showed February 13th, but we don't know if he was actually like, oh, well, at first he was in Anchorage, but then he was like, oh, suddenly he was in Texas. Oh, suddenly he was in Arizona. Suddenly he was in New Mexico. So he traveled a lot. Alberto, thank you so much for being here. Take care. Have a wonderful rest of the day. So yeah, it's possible that Keyes also was responsible for the disappearance of Jimmy Lamar Tidwell Jr. Um, the fucked up part here is that on February 16th, 2012, there was a bank robbery in Texas, in like Azle, Texas. And the culprit, even though he concealed his face, matched Israel Keys's like overall body type and was wearing a similar hat, similar like hoodie. Moreover, the culprit in this bank robbery was wearing a dark-haired wig, which was, you know, like it was kind of in line with what Keys was using in his murder kits, right? Like he was using wigs, he was using disguises. So here's the deal. This dark wig was closely resembled Jimmy's hair. And when questioned about the wigs he used in the murder kits, Israel admitted to officers that those were made of human hair. But when asked further, he noted that, quote, "You don't have to buy real hair to get real hair," end quote. Yeah. So it's possible that the wig that he was wearing was actually made from Jimmy's hair, his last victim. Well, there's another plot twist, you guys. Hold on to your chairs, because it's crazy. I wish I could tell you that he was locked up and he got, well, he was, but I wish I could tell you that he was locked up and he got a lengthy sentence or a death sentence or whatever, like he got what he deserved. So while in custody, Keys actually attempted to escape on May 23rd, 2012, during a routine hearing. He resorted to using wood shavings from a pencil to pick and open his handcuffs, or his cuffs on his feet and hands. The escape was luckily unsuccessful. Like, thankfully it was unsuccessful. Thanks to US Marshals who used a taser on him, so he didn't escape. Unfortunately, the truest extent of Keys's crimes is unknown, as he took his own life before naming any of the victims. Yep. He committed suicide in December of 2012 in his cell at the Anchorage Correctional Complex. That day, he apparently hid a razor blade in his cell, and it's pretty much unknown how he got this razor blade because it wasn't allowed. Obviously, like, inmates were not allowed to take razor blades. They weren't allowed to like have those things, right? And he actually took a razor blade and well, you can probably imagine how he used the blade. I won't be describing it here because I don't care and whatever. Well, it didn't end there, because he left a suicide note under his body, which had a bunch of ramblings, and it was titled "Ode to Murder," but provided no like significant clues or confessions to any other potential murders he had committed. And authorities also found drawings of 11 skulls and a pentagram scribbled with blood like on paper underneath his bed. And at the bottom of one of those scribbles, there was a phrase, "We are one." And the FBI believes that the number of skulls, so 11, hints at the number of Israel Keys's victims. I don't know, man. I'm tired. It's horrible. What a piece of garbage human being. I can't even call him a human being. And yeah, like that's, yeah, Satanist, kind of. He's taking those secrets to the damn grave. Yeah, like that. I think that was the most infuriating part of like his whole arrest and you know, the legal proceedings and stuff, because he never got to the trial. He never got to actual legal proceedings. He was still at the stage where he was like, yeah, okay, he was held in custody, but he was still talking to the officers, right? Like talking to the FBI agents, and they were trying to get him to talk and admit to things that he did, like other victims, but he never did. Like he was, as I said, like he was kind of like taunting the officers, taunting the agents, just telling them whatever, like dropping those hints, but never really telling them like, oh, this was the name, or like this was where it happened, or never really giving them any concrete details that would confirm that, oh, okay, he's responsible for this other murder. And that pretty much wraps up today's look into the chilling case of Israel Keys. While his crimes were calculated and shocking, it's important to not focus on his crimes, to not focus on him as a person. It's important to focus on his victims, on the lives he stole, because Samantha was a bright, young, beloved woman, or beloved young woman, whose future was taken away from her. You know, this was just a normal day for her. This was just another day at work. She had a relationship, she had a loving family, and she was taken away from them. And, you know, along with the other unnamed victims, I think Samantha and those other victims deserve to be at the heart of this story, at the heart of this case, not the man who caused so much pain. Ain't no one gonna miss him. Oh, absolutely, no one's gonna miss him. I hope that you guys can remember Samantha. I hope that you can remember Julie Harris, you know, other victims, Jimmy, Deborah, Nancy, her daughter Joey, and any other possible victims that he may have been responsible for. So you guys, a moment of silence to the victims. Okay. Thanks for tuning in today. If you found this episode, well, not completely horrible, or you found this episode horrifying, well, maybe not horrible, but horrifying, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, feel free to suggest other cases, and feel free to share the video with someone who would want to learn about these stories with the victims at the forefront. It actually greatly helps my channel, and, you know, who knows? Someone out there one day might see one of those videos about like an unsolved case, a cold case, an old case, a missing persons case, and they might realize that, hey, they know something about it and could help solve the case. And that's the point of my channel, you know, like I know that not many people want to talk about it. Some people might think that, hey, this is not you know, it's not something that you should be talking about, but honestly, I do hope that one day, you know, one of my videos is like seen by someone who actually can help solve a case. I have a book of weird cases. Well, you can suggest any case that you might wanna suggest. You can put them in the comments, and I will make sure to read it and write it down and look into it and check it out. And yeah. Interesting and informative. Always enjoy your stories. Thank you so much, Lord Zor. But thank you so much, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day or evening wherever you are. I apologize that I might have, you know, ruined your day or given you nightmares. Most likely, I'm gonna have nightmares too. But I will be taking Monday and Tuesday off as usual, and I'll be back on Tuesday. Never mind, I'm gonna be taking like the rest of today and Monday off, and then I'm gonna be back on Tuesday evening with, you know, some scary videos, scary haunted Santa videos. So we're gonna be seeing some haunted Santas, haunted Christmas, chilling Christmas. So I'll give you some more full body chills. I'll let you guys know if I'm gonna do another true crime stream next week. Most likely, like, there's definitely gonna be a case. There will be a case on Patreon, there will be a case on YouTube. It's just I might not do true crime necessarily. It might be something else, because I think I need a break. Also, turn your houses into a fortress. Exactly. Fortify your doors and windows, have a barrier in bedroom doors and cameras and stuff like that. Use your alarm systems. Very good advice. I really strongly encourage you guys to be very, very careful out there. Never feel too comfortable, never feel too safe, because you never know what might happen. So it doesn't really hurt to, you know, have sturdy door, have like windows that are sturdy and locked and, you know, not easily opened. It doesn't hurt to have alarm system, and just some, you know, some precautions in place. It never hurts to be a little more careful. So please stay safe out there. Stay tuna. Always lock your doors and windows. Bury your haxes. One of these days I have to like explain to my new subscribers why do I always say bury your haxes, because that's about like, that's from one of the cases that I covered, the Axemen of New Orleans, and yeah, like I just kind of mispronounced. I was going to say axe, but then I was thinking hatchet, and then it just ended up being, I pronounced hacks. I just kind of said hacks instead. So that's where it comes from. Like, bury them, bury the haxes. Bury your exes too. No, maybe not. Okay, don't. Okay, don't. That's actually a felony. That's actually illegal. So, I mean, obviously, please don't. There's no shame in taking extra precautions. Exactly. There's no shame in taking extra precautions. Blair says, my mother and I have been looking into taking self-defense classes. That is also a great idea. That also never hurts. I mean, it might hurt you a little bit physically during the training. Hopefully not, but it never hurts to know some self-defense. So also highly recommended for you guys to take some self-defense classes. You know, just know how to defend yourself, you know. It doesn't hurt. Which I should also practice what I preach. I should take some self-defense classes too, because right now I'm a noodle. So I don't think I would be able to defend myself unless I have my Blue Yeti microphone on me. Then I could just like yeet it at someone who's going to attack me. That microphone is very heavy, so if I yeet it at someone's head, I think it's gonna protect me. Okay, because for now, physically I'm a noodle. So not knowing karate. Hey, I watch a lot of Cobra Kai, okay? I'm ready. I'm prepared. Mentally, in my head, I'm super prepared. In my head, I've already defeated my, you know, it's all about the state of your mind. You know, in my mind, I've already defeated whoever might attack me in the future. You watched Cobra Kai too? Of course I did. I watched Karate Kid, the first one, and then Cobra Kai. Well, not all of the episodes. I'm still like kind of in the middle, but yeah, I did see Cobra Kai. I did see season, because I'm kind of like jumping through, but I did see the last season and it ended. The moment it ended, because I was watching with my friend and they were kind of like way ahead. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna watch with you because for the nostalgia. But yes, I did see how it ended, and holy shit. The second part of, wasn't it? Second part of season 6 is coming out in January, I think. January or February, something like that. So yeah, imagination. I know. I can't wait for the next part. Crazy. Like, what the fuck? Also, I have to say, this whole show, when I'm watching it, especially the last season with like the tournament, I was just like, guys, it's not that deep. You guys know this is like just kids tournament, right? Kids karate tournament. Like, it ain't that deep. Why is there so much happening? Why is there like so much vengeance and just like actual crime happening? It's kind of crazy, you guys. Like, if you're interested, if you've ever seen you know, the first Karate Kid, right? Karate Kid? God, I can't pronounce it like the right way, but the first Karate Kid, if you've seen it with you know, like with the Mr. Miyagi and not Jackie Chan, not that one, not the Jaden Smith, whatever it was. Like, I've never seen that one. The actual one, the first one. If you've ever seen the movie, you're gonna love Cobra Kai. And it all started, did you guys know that Cobra Kai actually, the concept of Cobra Kai actually started in from another TV show? Did you guys know that? Like, why was it even made? It was actually because of How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, because there was an episode in How I Met Your Mother where Barney said, like, he was like arguing with, I think with Ted or something, like about how actually the you know, like Johnny in Cobra Kai, well, Johnny in Karate Kid, right? Yeah. Do you guys don't know that? That's why it actually happened. Yeah, because there was an episode in How I Met Your Mother where Barney said, like, actually Daniel LaRusso was actually the bully, the bad kid. Like, he was actually bad. And the guy in Cobra, the kid in Cobra Kai was actually the good guy. Like, oh, he's the, you know, like anti-hero, like, but he was like, oh, he was misunderstood hero. And actually Daniel LaRusso was the bully, and as a, you know, as an adult or something. And yeah, that's the concept, right? Because in the first season of Cobra Kai, Daniel is actually a bully, right? Like, he's kind of, well, the Cobra Kai guy, Johnny, was it Johnny? What's his name? Johnny. Oh God, I always forget his last name. That's crazy. Wait, Cobra Kai, Johnny Lawrence. Johnny Lawrence. Yeah, like a total character swap. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they did a swap, basically. So that's why, because in How I Met Your Mother, Barney says something like, oh, it's the concept, like, oh, it's actually he meets the actors, right? Like, he meets the characters or the actors, and actually the guy who plays Johnny Lawrence, so the bully kid in Karate Kid, he's actually the good guy, and the actual like hero is the bad guy. So that's how it started. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it's coming back, right? Yeah, like, that's how it actually started. So yeah, that's kind of where they got the concept, and it just happened, and everyone loved it, and yeah, people love it. I mean, yeah, the show is great. It's kind of corny. Yeah, like, if you don't treat it seriously, like, you don't treat it seriously, because it's like, it's really not that deep. And if you really start thinking about, like, why is there crime and like karate tournament for kids? Yeah, don't think of it that deeply. Like, it's not that deep, but just enjoy the nostalgia. I can't believe I know someone else who watches Cobra Kai. Hey. Yeah, as I said, like, I didn't watch every single episode. I have to like really go back and watch from the start to finish, because I was like, I started watching with my friend, and we were just kind of like, oh, I was jumping through the episodes with them, and sometimes I would watch, sometimes I wouldn't. So I know what happens, and I know what happens, and like everything, you know, like all their characters, I kind of know what's going on and what are the plot twists. But you know, I did watch the last season. Oh yeah, crime happens. You would think, like, what? Karate for kids, for teenagers. What crime could they commit? Oh boy, there's like so much drama, so much crime, so much like mafia, and some karate mafia. It's crazy, it gets out of control. But yeah, karate crime. I might be wrong, but doesn't the movie end after a motorcycle chase? I don't remember. I haven't seen it in a while, but yeah, I don't actually remember. Maybe. But yeah, it's just great. Honestly, the show is like corny but great, and I'm here for it. Okay, thank you so much for today. Thank you for listening to my rambling at the very end of the stream. And fun fact, karate actually started as a fight club. So I mean, yeah. Well, there's also, right, like there's the other, like they have, oh, by now they have like, oh, Korean martial arts or Korean karate, and Japanese and Brazilian and something else. Like, it's kind of like it got international. It really got like international. So they're like, whoa, and evil guys and good guys, and like, you know, so many like villains. So many villains in this show. Okay, guys, thank you so much for today. I hope you enjoyed this stream despite the story that I covered, and I hope I didn't completely ruin your day. So stay safe out there, always lock your doors and windows, bury your haxes. Until the next time, bye.